Time for the OTR Pop Quiz. Let you in on a little something. When the governor was coming down here, he said, gee, I hope we have an OTR Pop Quiz this morning.
That's not exactly what I said.
Okay, it's close to what he said, but, here we go. All right. You're a graduate of Needham High School. The Needham-Wellesley Thanksgiving Day football rivalry is the oldest one of the state, dating back to 1882, by the way. So on the screen, which school has the most victories in this long history of the matchup? Is it Needham, is it Wellesley, or are they tied?
Well, I grew up in Needham, so I got to pick Needham.
It is Wellesley, and I'm just going to say it is Wellesley. Yeah. You can read into why I'm telling you it's Wellesley. Mike Lynch tells us the overall record is 63 wins, 60 losses, and 9 ties. But Wellesley.
So after all that time, it's still pretty close.
Still pretty close,
That's
exactly.
Pretty cool.
The first Republican governor of Massachusetts also served as a Union general in the Civil War. So who was that? Was it John Andrew? Was it Alexander Bullock? Or was it Nathaniel Banks?
Alexander Bullock.
Nathaniel Banks was the first political major general appointed by President Abraham Lincoln.
I thought I said it with authority.
You did. It was quick, and you did it. The Tony Award-winning musical Hadestown began a run in Boston last week, and the little birdie told me you were there opening night. Yeah. And wonderful, by the way. So singer-songwriter Anais Mitchell wrote the music and lyrics. She's a native of New England. So which state? Vermont, Rhode Island, or Maine?
Vermont.
Grew up in Addison County, Vermont, and attended Middlebury College.
Can I spend 2 seconds on this?
Go.
So she first produced this thing, wrote and produced it in Vermont in 2006. And then she literally spent 10 years working it with other people and eventually got to off-Broadway and added songs to it and changed the way a lot of it worked and eventually got it off Broadway and then eventually worked with a producer to bring it on Broadway. And it is like one of the greatest stories of perseverance, collaboration, and humility because this is obviously her baby and she was willing to talk to others, learn from them, and make adjustments, and it is magnificent.
Did you learn this from reading the play, Bill, or did you know this before you went to see the play?
I Googled like crazy after we watched it.
I see. Okay.
Well, okay, speaking of things that are nonsensical and mean nothing, an iconic TV mom, the character, not the actress, the character in this iconic TV mom is from Swampscott, Massachusetts. In fact, it was once revealed in one of the episodes of a classic sitcom. So a TV mom, not her real place of residence, but she in the sitcom was from Swampscott. Is it Partridge? Is it Cunningham? Or is it Carol Brady?
You're killing me today.
I know.
Well, I'm going to guess. I have no idea, but I'm going to guess Marion Cunningham for the heck of it.
Well, you know what? That's more Wisconsin, I think. It's Carol Brady, who was played by Florence Henderson. She was from Swampscott, Massachusetts. She said in the middle of one of the shows.
So I
Brady
know
Bunch. Go figure.
You'll remember that always.
I will. I'll never
forget it. Okay, I know you hate one-word answers, but if you can give me one-word answers to the next 2 questions. Should the federal government pay for at least 4 weeks of family leave to take the pressure off of businesses that are now footing the bill?
We have a family leave program here in Massachusetts. I think it works. I think it works pretty well.
Okay, so you don't think the federal government should have to pay for it instead?
I think that states can do this, and states should do it.
Okay. Should the federal government clamp?
And the reason the economies in states are different, okay, and the federal government, generally speaking, is a one-size-fits-all approach to pretty much everything.
Okay. Should the federal government clamp down on pharmaceutical company prices on drugs?
If they do it the way we propose doing it in Massachusetts, my answer to that would be yes.
Okay. So on to other issues. Michelle Wu is only one example of dozens of progressives that were elected to mayor or city councilor across the state this past week. Do you think Massachusetts is moving further left?
I think Massachusetts is electing the person they think is the right person for the job at that time. There are a lot of what I would describe as moderates who got reelected, as well as other folks who were just incumbents who crossed a whole variety of political spectrums who won. I think, I've always said that I think the vast majority of the people in Massachusetts take every candidate on their face and make their decision based on that particular person. And I think that was as true on Tuesday as it's been historically.
Okay, this question has to do with your party, not about the voters or the independents in the state. Swerving right, do you think the Massachusetts GOP party is moving too far right?
I think the most important thing you're supposed to do if you're a political party is elect people, and elect people who share a certain set of common values. And I happen to think the values for the Republican Party are about the economy, about education, and about opportunity, and about fair play. I would argue that the leadership of the current party is not in the same place I'm in.
Would you ever run as an independent?
I'm a Bill Weld Republican here in Massachusetts. That's what I've always been.
So
and
in-
I've been very comfortable wearing that suit for the better part of the past 40 years.
Which brings us to the last question.
40 years.
40 years, wow, right? Maybe that's part of the answer to this next question. So, how can I phrase it this way? What's the argument for not running for a third term? For governor of Massachusetts?
Oh
You
my,
mean just generically?
for you.
For you, in your mind, what is an
I'm not-
argument
look, I've
for
already-
not running?
I've already talked quite a bit about this issue, and
Yeah, but
I'm
we
pretty
haven't-
focused
but
everybody
on my,
wants to know.
I'm pretty focused on my day job, and well, I've said this before too. I get that a lot of folks in the media want to know.
I
but
think a lot of
Joe
people-
Q and Jane Q citizens.
You don't think they
I
don't
disagree
seem-
with you. I have voters that come up to me that are not in the
business.
business, that come up, is Charlie, they all call you Charlie, is Charlie going to run? That's what they want to know, because they want to know what their options are going to be. Is there going to be stability, or are we going to have to, start all over from ground one?
Well, as I've said before,
Oh, no.
I'm focused on the job I've got, and that's been where I've been spending my time.
Do you want to stay focused on the job that you have for 4
Let me-
years,
I will say
beginning
this, I will say this.
next fall?
Yes.
Despite all of it, I consider it to have been, so far, I consider it to have been the greatest honor and the greatest opportunity and the hardest and in many ways best job I've ever had.
Thank you. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you guys
Thanks
too.
for coming.
Thank
in.
you.
We appreciate it.